You might not realize this, but being smart is not a success strategy. It's a resource. Like owning a high-end graphics card, but with no power supply. Impressive, heavy, but completely useless without the thing that actually turns it on. If you've ever been told you're full of potential, I'm sorry, but that compliment ages like milk. Potential is a romantic way to describe a car that never left the driveway. And the worst part? Smart people know exactly how good that car can be. They can picture the perfect route, the perfect playlist, the fuel economy, the aerodynamics, but they forget the key step, driving. So why do smart people stay stuck? Short version, your brain is so good at simulating success that it stops you from doing the boring, slightly embarrassing, but very human steps it takes to create it. Long version, well, buckle up, because we're about to do a tour of the traps that ambush high IQ brains, and the surprisingly low IQ behaviors that can help break you out. The first trap is the optimization trap. You want the best plan. Not a decent plan, not a makeshift plan, you want the best one. Like you're crafting a legendary weapon in a game. You'll spend 3 weeks selecting a note-taking system so advanced it needs a user manual and a priest. Meanwhile, the person with a sloppy Google Doc and a deadline is already shipping the product. Optimization is a dessert. Progress is the meal. You earn dessert by eating the vegetables of iteration. The fix is a good enough threshold. Decide upfront what good enough to ship actually means. Then timebox it. 2 hours to make the first version, 30 minutes to tidy, and launch. Your future self can optimize. Your current self just needs to get started. The second trap is identity management. When you've been the smart one your whole life, trying and failing doesn't just hurt, it threatens your whole image. If I try this and fail, maybe I'm not that smart. Congratulations, you just built a psychological moat around your ego and you called it a fortress. But it's not a fortress, it's actually a cage. The fix is to separate identity from attempts. Create a second label. I'm a builder. Builders failed publicly with suspicious frequency. That's not a bug. It's part of the manufacturing process. Let your intelligence sit in the passenger seat. The identity that drives is the one that ships, not the one that wins arguments in group chats. The third trap is the infinite research loop. You research like the last archivist at the end of the world. You read, you highlight, you tag. You build a Zettelkasten so dense it needs zoning permits. Then you say, I just need to connect these last 47 dots, and a year later you're still connecting dots about connecting dots. Research feels like movement. It's a treadmill with a very intellectual scenery. The escape hatch is the decision rule. If the choice is reversible, decide fast and learn in the field. Amazon called it the two-way door. If you can walk back through, walk forward quickly. Save your heavy lifting for the one-way doors. Moving cities, quitting jobs, naming your cat something intensely permanent like Professor Pickles. For everything else, act, then analyze. The fourth trap is the high standard tack. Smart people hate small wins because they feel beneath. You don't want tiny results, you want the montage where everything suddenly clicks and you're gliding through life with a latte and a trench coat. Here's the boring reality show. Small wins compound. If you can't stick to a tiny habit, there's no way you're going to handle a big opportunity. Famous directors started with short films or commercials. Great authors wrote terrible early drafts. The fix is minimum viable boring. Pick the smallest version of your important thing that would still count if you did it daily. Give it a ridiculously low bar so your brain can't perform its favorite magic trick, turning start into someday. The fifth trap is social miscalibration. You're great at problems with clear answers and terrible at the ones with people attached. The right answer is not what gets funded, approved, or shared. The aligned answer does. If this offends you, you're proving my point. Success is a group project, and groups are messy, they're emotional, they're occasionally hungry organisms who like to be understood before they're corrected. The sixth trap is productive procrastination. You build second brains to avoid using your first. You spend 4 hours color-coding a calendar that you will abandon by Wednesday. You read about morning routines at 1 a.m. while eating cereal out of a mug. The system is not the goal. The system is just the foundation so you can build what you actually need to build. One rule fixes this. Action before architecture. Do 10 minutes of the real thing that you need to do before you touch any tools. If it's writing, write. If it's sales, message people. If it's fitness, move your body. After 10 minutes of reality, then you're allowed to go and optimize the palace. You'll be surprised how small of a system you actually need when the work is happening. The seventh trap is the fear of averageness. This trap is sneaky because it hides under compliments. You're gifted, you pick things up so fast. The moment you hit a wall, your brain whispers, maybe this thing isn't your thing. Translation, I'd rather keep a shiny identity than collect dull, scratchy skills. Being bad is not proof that you're untalented. It's proof that you started. The fix is a skill debt plan. Pick one high-value skill, define a 90-day sprint, gather some feedback sources, and schedule practice like it's a meeting with someone you respect. No feelings-based learning. Reps, recordings, review. Record your cold outreach calls and grade them. Film your deadlift and fix your hinge. Publish beta versions and ask 5 real people for a brutal teardown. You don't need to be born for it, you need to train into it. The 8th trap is the scarcity of stakes. School had obvious stakes: grades, gold stars, a bored teacher who smelled like coffee and disappointment. The real world is feelings and invoices. Nothing will explode if you don't post today. No one is going to email you if your newsletter is late. Smart people are awesome when consequences are external and immediate. When they're not, you drift. The solution is to design the stakes. Public deadlines convert vibes into visible pressure. Put your launch date in your bio, pre-sell your workshop, refund if you fail to deliver. Make a commitment contract with a friend where missing the deadline donates to a cause you despise and suddenly you're motivated. This isn't about masochism. It's about changing the energy source from I should to I said I would. The 9th trap is that you think thinking beats trying. Your thoughts are cinematic. In your head, you are a genius. Out loud in the real world, it's awkward, slow, and people don't applaud on cue. Your brain interprets that gap as a problem to be solved with more thinking. But it's not. That gap is only solvable with actual reps. You can't think your way to charisma, you have to practice it. You can't think your way to a profitable product, you have to test it with customers. The fix is exposure therapy to imperfection. Publish something small daily. Host 5-minute live streams where you don't edit your pauses. Ship the ugly version on purpose and see if your social circle collapses. Trust me, it won't. But your tolerance for being visibly human will go way up. The 10th trap is hoarding cleverness. Smart people often apply intelligence to avoid pain rather than create value. You build mental labyrinths to never feel stupid, never feel rejected, never get judged. That's a brilliant use of energy if your life goal is to die with pristine ego walls. But if you want actual outcomes, your cleverness should automate embarrassment, not avoid it. Write scripts that send messages for you. Use templates that make it easier to ask for things. Batch rejection into Rejection Tuesday so you absorb 10 no's at once and enjoy the rest of your week like a normal villain. The 11th trap is status addiction. When you've always been rewarded for being right, you chase the high of winning the room. That's not leadership. Leaders distribute credit and absorb blame. They make other people feel capable in their presence, not smaller. You want to be successful? Build allies who would happily vouch for you when you're not in the room. That comes from 3 different behaviors: consistently delivering slightly earlier than promised, sending debriefs that make everyone smarter, and remembering one personal detail per person so you can follow up like a human and not a spreadsheet with legs. Here's something most people won't tell you because it doesn't sound inspirational on a poster. Success tolerates awkwardness way more than intelligence tolerates it. Winners are not comfortable, they're just willing. Willing to be seen starting, willing to sound worse before they sound better, willing to try the thing today instead of polishing the plan forever. If you want to move from potential energy but make it academic to kinetic energy with receipts, train willingness. 10 minutes a day of real attempts beat a weekend of wishing every single time. Now, because smart brains love a protocol, here's one that you can run this week without asking the internet for permission. Pick one project you've been marinating in perfection. Define a good enough threshold in a single sentence, like a landing page with one clear offer and a checkout link. Time box 120 minutes to build it, that's 2 hours for people who can't do math. When the timer ends, publish whatever exists. Text 3 people that you actually know, yes, real people, and say, I just made this, can I get your honest 2-minute take? Tomorrow when you wake up, fix the top 2 issues they mention, repeat it twice if you have to. You just learned more in 48 hours than in the past month of podcasts. And that's not because learning is bad, it's because learning without doing is nonsense. You might be wondering, but what about passion? Shouldn't I wait to feel it? Passion is a lagging indicator. It shows up after you get good enough to not hate the process. You don't meet passion by thinking. Passion introduces itself when you're elbow deep in attempts that almost work. The sooner you step into the mess, the sooner you build the taste and the skill to make the work satisfying. Smart people demand to feel certain before they move. Successful people move until certainty shows up. And yes, fear is in the car. It can sit in the back seat, arms crossed, chewing imaginary gum, muttering that you're not ready. That's fine, let it. Courage isn't deleting fear, it's driving with it until it gets bored. You think intelligence keeps you safe. Actually, it keeps you visible. What keeps you safe is skill. Skill is a compound interest of attempts. Attempts require tolerating public imperfection. That's the whole loop. It's not sexy, but it's very effective. If you do this for 90 days, your life will start doing that weird thing where people say, you're so lucky. And you'll smile because you know exactly how much of that luck was manufactured in awkward, untelevised reps. That's the kind of confidence you can't fake. It's not swagger. It's not quotes from a stoic philosopher in your bio. It's the kind that shows up when you've kept promises to yourself in environments where nobody clapped. That's the kind that walks into rooms and changes the odds. If you want that, intelligence is welcome, but it's not in charge. Willingness drives. Systems navigate. Reps pay for gas. Ego can bring snacks if it behaves. So here's your challenge for tonight. Not someday when the stars align with Jupiter. Pick the smallest version of your goal and put it in the world with one sitting. The first version, the don't look at me version. Send the message, publish the page, ask for a 10-minute meeting. And then when your brain screams it's not perfect, respond with, I know, I'm just practicing successful. You want the identity upgrade? Here it is. Become the person who ships and iterates. Put competency over cleverness. Be the one who can be seen learning in public. When that's who you are, success stops being this mythical prize that visits the chosen few. It becomes predictable because you're building it day by day, attempt by attempt, like a pro. And you'll still be smart, you just won't be stuck anymore. You'll be the person whose intelligence shows up as mastery, not potential, which is the only kind that counts.